I think my first recollection was watching the civil rights movement in full bloom when African Americans were sitting in and demonstrating and watching them get blown away by water guns and beaten by police officers in the South.
Well, the Asian legal profession was growing, and it was an era, particularly in the civil rights movement. I once sat on the ABA Minority Recruitment Committee. That was in the 80s, but I learned that the ABA had a rule that excluded blacks from membership in the ABA until they had written policy until about 1960. Pat Brown was frequently in San Francisco, which was his hometown, and he sometimes would confuse me with Delbert, call me Delbert, call Delbert Harry, and then he would say, "Oh, there's my Chinese deputy."
I remember going to court and walking into the chambers of a judge who didn't know I was just around the corner, and I heard him say, "Boy, there are a lot of niggers out there." And it's San Francisco Municipal Court. When they had a municipal court, it was criminal defense. I did a lot of criminal defense in my first few years. And as soon as I turned the corner and he saw me, to cover himself, he said, "Oh, a lot of chinks too," as if it were a big joke. And the district attorney that was in there, they were laughing and having a good old time. But we had experiences like that in court a lot, where you would go into chambers and the judge would have this very, this very nice conversation with the opposing counsel, ask him about his wife and his kids, and then turn to you and say, "Now, what are you here for?" in a harsh tone. And while you can't say there was anything specific said, you know what's going on. You know you're getting homered. You know you're getting treated differently because you've had that experience during your life and you could almost smell it. And there's an intuition you get as a person of color who's experienced that to know what the truth is, even though you may not be able to, quote, prove it in court. And I remember the snapshot of us sitting in the legal aid office over in San Francisco and sitting at Jack Chow, who was the first president. He owned a bar called the Four Cs, which we preferred to go to for our meetings. And we talked about forming an Asian American Bar Association.
And even in '76, there were very few Asians in the larger law firms and senior positions in corporate practice or any other thing. So there was just kind of a need to organize and say, "Hey, we're here, we're growing," and so Jack Chow gathered a bunch of lawyers and me and a few others together, and I remember going to his restaurant. He had a restaurant called the Four Cs, and I think he bought us dinner.
We learned about a group in San Francisco that was starting to suggest that they form an Asian American Bar Association in the Bay Area. They heard about us, we heard about them, we knew some of the members or some of the participants, so we arranged a joint meeting. I think they were going to be a Chinese American Bar Association because their constituency was all Chinese. We had both Chinese and Japanese, so we wanted to push the concept of an Asian American Bar Association. So altogether, we hatched this concept of an Asian American bar. We would participate in bar activities as a minority bar. We would also be very involved in our community and try to represent at least their legal interests. We wanted to push the governors to appoint Asian Americans, and we wanted the sitting judges to know that there are going to be consequences if they do not, if they continue any racially insensitive types of behavior. Yeah, we're going to do something about it.
And to participate in the bar associations And then some of the people said, yeah, we also need to have mentors, we needed to have training, educational programs, do the things that the bars do that are, but more specific, directed towards Asian lawyers.
I mean, they really wanted a trade organization where they could just refer cases to each other and socialize. You know, they had been isolated. They were working in their, mostly in Chinatown. They didn't have a lot of support. They had to fight much bigger battles than we did as young attorneys. They experienced different types of racism than we did, so they were sympathetic in that sense. I think that was part of the commonality that allowed us to get along and being able to both forge a trade organization as well as a progressive legal organization and create that mythology, that culture, that set of values that hopefully we would carry on as long as the organization existed.
I view it as it's like watching a plant grow. And it has been very exciting to be part of the water and the sun that's helped that plant to grow. And I see it starting as a few blossoms and turning into a glorious orchid of cherry blossoms.
I think early on it was AABA's willingness to file an amicus brief in the affirmative action case of Baki versus UC Regents. And that was the first well-known affirmative action case in the country. And AABA took the side in favor of affirmative action. I thought that was really important. It was a statement. And what I do recall is various presidents over various years, you know, speaking out strongly. And recently we've seen folks make those kind of statements in the Bay Area, condemning activities such as anti-Muslim violence or anti-Arab violence.
So to be at, over 500 members, to be one of the largest minority bar organizations, and to have that power of being a unified voice for the Asian American community has allowed us to take positions and take stances. I'm proud of AABA's history 40 years ago when we started, and sort of taking stances on various issues, civil rights issues, and I'm really proud that 40 years later we're doing the same thing.
What are the milestones that stand out for you?
Well, focused on politics, when I was first involved in AABA, there really were very few Asian American elected officials. And when I left the Board of Supervisors, we had 5 Asian Americans out of 11. 4 of us were Asian lawyers. We were serving with an Asian attorney who was mayor. And now I can tell you in the State Assembly, we have a record number of Asian Americans who are serving in the legislature, including many attorneys. There are 2 API statewide officials who are lawyers. So our state treasurer, John Chung, our attorney general, who hopefully later in 2016 will become our first U.S. Senator of API heritage. And it's just, it's an amazing time in the public sphere and the political sphere to see not just Asian American leadership, but Asian American leadership that came out of the legal profession.
I embraced my job very wholeheartedly and worked as hard as I possibly could. Having done that and lived that lifestyle, I also knew that I needed a source of renewal and a social outlet and a safe place to go to talk about issues that were that affected me, maybe feeling alienated or feeling that I was being treated unfairly or what have you, in a safe harbor environment. So AABA supplied that to me when I was just growing up in the ranks and about to become partner and then becoming partner and just not being all that sure how to navigate all those waters. I had a place where I could go and just at least feel comfortable and at home and hopefully pick up some words of wisdom or advice.
AABA's impacted my career in providing a wonderful network of lawyers and judges who I think really care about the organization. They care about the Asian Pacific American legal profession. They care about making strides toward different policy issues and just making the profession better and serving our lawyers and our law students better.
I think it's been phenomenal for my career. It's been a great way for me to build additional relationships outside of just my law firm into the greater community, which is, as you know, law is a client-oriented business, and so developing relationships is really important. And so it's just increased my ability to meet more people and to develop friendships with those people and increase my professional profile. But also, I think I've learned a lot of leadership skills by serving as a committee co-chair for AABA, which is really fantastic in a way that, in a different way than you would just doing your work at the firm.
But definitely in law school, and especially when I first graduated and began practicing, I remember feeling lost, and sometimes just a little bit lost, and sometimes very lost. And I think I gravitated towards organizations like that because it made me feel like I really belonged somewhere.
They were kind of like a home to you.
Yeah, very much.
Before coming to law school, I didn't know any Asian attorneys. I didn't know any attorneys that looked like me. And being in AABA and being a part of AABA, I was able to meet attorneys who did not just look like me, but also had similar backgrounds to me. And that really helped me push through law school and push through many of the challenges of the legal practice and really see myself as an attorney.
They were Asian Americans, and they would tell me, you know, no one in my family has gone to law school before or graduated from a professional school. And I saw there was a need for these students to have guidance from people who had been through the process and to teach them some strategies or tips on how to improve their position. And it was this moment I just remember thinking, I do know something, I can help somebody, and I should, because if I do that, we'll be advancing, you know, I'll be advancing a cause bigger than myself. And I think what I realized for the first time when I was involved in that program was there are ways we can help. There are goals that we have, and if we all join together and are trying to do something bigger than just our individual lives, we'll be so much more impactful and powerful.
Yeah, I think in terms of thank you, really simply put, thank you for everything you've been doing for the past 40 years to make AABA and to bring AABA to where we're at now. We've been saying this year on the board of just, we're at the tipping point in so many different ways. As an organization, we have reached a size and a capacity which we can truly be a leader within our community, within the San Francisco community, and within the legal community of the Bay Area. And we couldn't do that without our members, our volunteers, and all the tireless energy we put into this organization. It's an effort of love. I think we all really appreciate AABA for what it does, and AABA is everyone here.
Make time for AABA. Participate. I know that it's easy to make excuses not to come out and not to help. It's easy to skip out on an event at any given day, but try to make time for it.
Well, first of all, I'm looking forward to a great party. And secondly, I hope everyone understands how special a family AABA is, and remembers that as we work with each other and as we move forward in life. And I also hope, and I know that if you're a member of AABA, you know that for all of us to get to where we are today, we got opportunities and we got breaks. And it's incumbent upon us as individuals and as an organization to give back. And however that be, whether it be pro bono work or getting involved in the public sphere or philanthropy or speaking out, It's my hope that each and every one of us will work individually and collectively to give back to the community and to help lead our broader API community and the broader communities that we live in.
I would say to all of AABA, please be involved. Please, we can use your help, and our organization is only as strong as the people who are doing the work, and there is always so much more that we can accomplish if you're engaged. So if someone asks you to be a speaker, please say yes. Or come to an event so people will want to meet you and you'll get to meet other people. We're not asking for all of your time, but if you could just give a little bit more, I think AABA will be an even more amazing place and organization for our members. So please be involved.
If I had final words to say, which I do, I would just thank AABA for surviving for all these years, for thriving, for living up to its core values. And I hope you're going to continue to do this for the next 40 years, because I may not be around, but I'm going to sure try. Thank you.